All right, I think we're live. Hello, welcome to the Bounty Hunters. I went and started it because we don't have him away, then it just doesn't make sense. So let's just kick this thing off.
Huh? I was never gone. What are you on about?
Okay. How you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. Here, I'll just do this. Quinlan Vos was a Kuiper Mel Jedi Master. He was known to have a reputation for bending the rules of the Jedi Order. He also had the power of retrocognition, perceiving others' memories when simply touching the objects that they had contacted. This made him an amazing tracker and even a better spy. Toward the end of the Clone Wars, Vos partnered with Ventress to assassinate Count Dooku. Ventress taught him the ways of the dark side in an attempt to make him a better fighter against Dooku. Eventually, Vos would succumb to the dark side and even become Dooku's apprentice for a short time. Only brought back to the light because of his love for Ventress. Tonight we discuss an amazing Jedi, an amazing spy, one that fell to the dark but that will come back to the light. We discuss Quinlan Vos. Join us. And all right. He's going very well played, sir.
Very well played.
All right. Quinlan Vos, one of the coolest and interesting Jedis. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty
Awesome.
good. Was excited to talk to this character because it's such a really weird history from the get-go going.
It is. And
there's a lot.
I will show you all right there. I'm going to play a video, and this is the boardroom of how they developed the deep and dark backstory and how from the very beginning they knew exactly what they wanted to do with this character. That's it right there. Yeah. The actual story is he legitimately was just a random background character that they liked the looks of him and they just retrofitted him and said, let's make him a Jedi.
Crazy.
That's it.
Honestly, I thought you were gonna play the video of the scene, and I just see the still image of the music. I was so funny.
Yeah.
That's all it needs.
Yeah. I thought. Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna make it seem like I'm going some deep cut here, and it's like, no, he was just an extra that looked cool.
If I'm not mistaken, too, the extras like not uncredited, but like they don't know who the extra was. If I'm not mistaken.
That's
they never sometimes they find an extra down the road, like they track him down and they get his name, but this guy they never figured out who was.
And the weird thing is,
British Columbia.
Yeah.
I was also reading that that people have kind of asked, like, hey, you guys have gone pretty far with this character. Oh, sorry about that. You got pretty far with this character. Like, what's his backstory? And they were like, legitimately, they can't, like, why was he on there? And they've said, oh, he was in, thing, but they've never actually explained why he was in the movie. The only thing they came, there was one part where he said that he regretted that he didn't reach out, but of course he didn't know how bad they were having it right then. But they really didn't. And one of the reasons why they said is Filoni and a few other people said, because if you look, he's surrounded by his own people with the yellow tattoo. And if he was on a secret spy mission, then they would have to explain why his people would clearly recognize and know that he's a Jedi, right? But at the same time, if he's a known Jedi, then he should have helped his fellow Jedi brothers. So it's like this catch-22 of they don't really know how to get out of that situation. So they just kind of ignore that.
We'll they had an unspoken, like, you walk past the person you just give them the old nod. Like, that's it. Had no word spoken.
I read that someone said that he didn't know that they were there, but clearly it's right there.
There is like
just drinking. He just Slowly tracks him.
I do think that I know for sure in the Star Wars thing, but I do think that it's like official, according to I think it was like StarWars.com or something that I was reading, that he did know, and he said he felt bad that he didn't help, but of course he didn't know, like he didn't actually know, and
He didn't know they were broke. He didn't know they were broke.
Yeah, he didn't know how bad it was, so he just kind of ignored the situation, obviously.
You know
But I just thought it was funny because of the fact he's not supposed to be anything but a random extra in the background. Like you said, it's so amazing that the rumors are people don't even know who the hell the guy is, and they end up making him a Jedi, and then they kind of paint themselves in a corner where they can't even really explain why he was at the place. They're like, yeah, it's hard to get around that one. Which I think, if that's true, I actually think it's funny because since when has Star Wars really cared about explaining it in a way that makes sense? Most of the time, they're just we say so. like
it's so like you will get no other franchise in Star Wars that will just take a random extra who no one knows just because like, oh, he kind of looks cool with like a literally a yellow line across his face. Let's make him this absurd spy Jedi and dude.
What I think is also what's best about what Star Wars does is you'll have like the easiest way to explain even Darth Maul is that he puts on war paint. Like every culture has some sort of war paint. This guy has a yellow thing across. Is it war paint? No, sir. That's a tattoo. That thing is a tattoo. It's like, why did you have to go to the extreme? Why couldn't you just say they have a traditional thing or they put, yellow paint on their face? No, it's
Which is funny because you see that later on when we talk about the comics. He literally does that to someone else.
Yes. And it's so funny because every time they have any kind of face thing, Star Wars just takes it to that next level. And it's like, yeah, that's a tattoo. And it's like, but why does it need to be a tattoo? You could just say
it's a tattoo. Don't question it. They're committed.
So this is pretty awesome. Now, I will say, looking back at it, because he was pretty heavily into the non-canon, the mix of what happens and it was kind of hard to keep track. I will say that I'm apparently the only one who knew the assignment and actually read this book.
You're the only one who can read. Yeah.
That's true.
We like pictures. We like books.
This Dark Disciple. I really do enjoy this.
There should be a comic adaptation of that. That would be interesting. Like how they've done other ones like Thrawn and such.
And so there was one story which maybe you can help me with, where they decide to try to make him go undercover. And I'm assuming this is the non-canon version
with Dooku thing.
Yeah, with Dooku. Yes. And then he goes back. So that was kind of colluded. And we'll talk about that in the comic books. This one is the Jedi. And I swear to God, the more they write this, I don't know if it's because they don't know what to do or if it's because they are trying to make you feel like the Jedi are evil. The Jedi decide, you know what? Fuck it. We'll just kill him. So they decide to assassinate Dooku. And it is totally agreed upon by the Jedi Council.
They're done. They're just like, again, like the Grievous aside. Well, remember when we talked about the comics and Grievous way back? They were like, and they want to just assassinate Grievous, and Yoda's like, that's the worst thing it could be done. I'm gonna almost just for saying that, I'm gonna excommunicate you from the Jedi.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. He of course he wasn't happy about it, but he went ahead and let this happen anyway. So they decided to assassinate him. And who do they decide to assassinate? The guy that's already questioning everything about being a Jedi. The guy who's known for bending the rules, the guy who's been accused of being on the dark side before, and they decide to send him undercover with this lovely lady, which is, I mean, I understand why, but you might not even recognize it because there's no bald head, but Ventress, and go undercover and try to get in close to Ventress, see if he can get close enough to assassinate Dooku. It's a really cool book. They get Kenobi. Kenobi is heavily involved in this book, probably why it's an amazing book, because Kenobi basically becomes, it's like one of those stories you see where you go undercover and only one person knows you're undercover kind of thing.
Yeah, he's the for the reader.
Yeah.
The reader kind of follow along.
And Kenobi's the one that meets him at the shady bar and tells him. So they meet up. They have to like kind of work with Ventress. Not only like Kenobi and Yoda are the only ones that think that this can be done. Eventually, he comes clean because he starts to get the feels for Ventress, that he is a Jedi. Of course, she said she already could tell that. I always think it's funny how in all the cartoons and everything, there are these people who are running around and they're awesome, okay, and they're actual bounty hunters or assassins, but they don't jump 12 feet high. They only jump 2 feet high.
Yeah.
And they don't like blur out of existence because they're moving so fast. And when they're like, well, he's a Jedi. Like, what did you think he was if he wasn't a Jedi? And she was like, yeah, of course you're a Jedi. I'm not a moron. I've been watching you for like 2 months. Of course you're a Jedi, idiot.
Oh god, I've been fighting Jedi for quite a long time too. I think I recognize. Also, that thing on your hip is a little sus.
So she explains to him that he's gonna have to learn the way of the dark side if he's gonna have any chance against Dooku.
Mm-hmm.
And so she takes him to the big bad planet of her sisters. Yeah, and shows him the slaughter, what happened, and that's kind of where he gets even closer with her because he realizes that she's just a broken person too. And again, he gets the feels, and when she asks him, "What's going to happen when we finally kill a Dooku?" he literally says, "I'm not going back to the Order." And it seems like the plans are that those two are going to run away together and get away from it all. So that's that's interesting. But they do all this thing. They go through it. They fight Dooku. Spoiler alert: if you haven't seen the movies, obviously it doesn't work because they're not the ones that actually killed Dooku.
He's still walking around.
Yeah, and I guess through the process of being so close to getting Dooku, being so close to figuring out who Dooku's boss is, he actually does succumb and become the dark side. And the Jedi, they okay, the assassination failed. They brought him back. The whole time, Ventress is saying that's not him, and nobody will listen to her. She's like, he's dark side. That's not him. That's not him. Of course, nobody's listening to the crazy bald-headed lady, and he does some sabotaging and stuff. And then basically, the reason why he came back to the light is because he loved Ventress and came back because she basically willed him to come back. And it's a very good book. It kind of shows you, I don't know, it shows you different sides of Jedis. And it's one of those, another book. They made a bunch of books like that where for, what was it, like 30 years, these Jedi were the cream of the crop. They did nothing wrong. They never swayed. And then you get book after book where they're just
paragons of perfection and justice.
Yeah, and I don't know if it makes it more interesting or if it's like literally sabotaging. Like if I hate Disney. Although, hey, you own everything Disney. I own none of this stuff that's in this video. But I just kind of wonder, is it because it makes for better writing? And that's fine. But it really does seem like they're great.
I do think it adds more layers to it, that they're not just a straight up like a perfect organization. Like there is good people and there is good to it, but obviously there's a lot of flaws, which is why I think it's also trying to help explain why Anakin would also kind of go nuts and turn.
But there's one thing to say that they're like basically a very devout, manic religious order who don't let anyone stray, and the restraints from that, because we all know in real world when you are that strict on people, eventually they crack. Yeah. There's a difference between showing that, which I think is just as interesting, and sanctioning what is this now to the third or fourth assassination? Like this is just a little bit far now. Like it's gone a little bit much.
But it's a common theme, right?
Now they got a whole order of assassins and spies and all kinds of nonsense. I'm just like,
Didn't we talk about it with Barriss Offee? Like there's always a weakness to a Jedi.
I mean, they had to diversify some of the hires, the new hires when we need to
diversify their portfolios. They weren't getting the full.
They were getting the full flexion. We need a spy. We need a terrorist. We need We need some child killers.
and then to me, although I really enjoyed it, to make the Quinlan Vos story even more weird and awkward, they decide to make him this cool, badass fighter. They decide to make him a spy. They decided to make him all this. And on top of that, I'll just run the clip and then you can see what I'm talking about.
Oh, before that, as I mentioned for the book was originally supposed to be an arc in the Clone Wars. So we're going to talk about the Clone Wars, I'm assuming. Yeah. And that it was supposed to be happening after season 5, and that's when it got canceled when Ahsoka left the first time. And so they scrapped the arc, and they didn't use it for when they brought it back. So they eventually just turned it into a novel, and that's how we got it this way.
And this is just our first look at him, and just see this. And we'll get back to this. Hold on.
Sir, you seem troubled.
Quinlan Vos has that effect.
Ah, yes. That Jedi has quite a reputation.
Maybe overstating it, Cody. Let's just say he's crazy.
Ship entry from the west, sir.
Hey, Kenobi!
Hey, Commander, looking good? Kenobi, you look worse for wear. How's temple life?
Good to see you too.
Yes, well, if you could tell time half as well as you could stick a landing, we wouldn't be behind schedule now, would we?
Well, that's your opinion, man.
Right there. That last line is so annoying just because it doesn't like what is he? Is he a cold-blooded like assassin? Because he has and even in canon, he has murdered people. Like he took people out. And then now he's like, hey man, that's like your opinion, bro. What
It's like from a
is that?
Cheech and Chong movie.
So what
Yeah.
I was
He's the
gonna say
dude.
was as soon as I completely forgot his voice, right? And I'm like listening to him and how he's doing that there, and I'm like, I realized who would play him in live action. If they had someone play him, it'd be Jason Momoa.
Probably, yeah. Actually, it probably would be.
That would be him right
It's actually not a bad one. Or what was it? What was the name of that movie where all the presidents were robbing people and they were all surfer dudes?
Point Break, yeah.
Point Break. Keanu Reeves' character in Point Break, just the voice though, just the voice. Like, I am an FBI agent. Like,
Just have him
that's
dub
what
it. Just have him
like,
dub over the lines.
I don't even understand why he was like the dude suddenly. I'm like, what? That doesn't even fit.
Yeah.
He's
That's
a
just your
hippie
opinion,
now, but he
man.
also is like a borderline assassin, obviously, spy, triple
That's
spy.
that's the ploy.
It wasn't what I was expecting, that's for sure.
Yeah. I was expecting like rough and gruff like voice of a sound like a guy who's been smoking like 1,000 cigarettes,
Yeah.
smoking death sticks all day long in the bars.
Like this, the stereotypical. He's like, Kenobi, how's it going? Well, he's like super like whispering. Instead, he's like,
Yeah.
oh, did you see me land that, bro? Like, Jesus Christ. It's an interesting choice.
Oh man. But
Well,
yeah.
that's pretty much it for canon. Now we're gonna get into the death. And I'll tell you the long story of his death and what happened to him.
It's a really
There is no story because they have no idea what happened to him.
Well, what's interesting was because when Quinlan was introduced in the comics, when they really got into him, alongside that, Aayla Secura was introduced, and that's when George Lucas was still looking at the comics for ideas. He was just like reading them occasionally, and we saw Aayla Secura. Obviously, his Twi'lek brain kicked in, so he added her into the movies, and then the character, the Quinlan, got more and more involved as time went in the comics, and he was gonna have him show up on Kashyyyk. They had storyboarded it so that he would appear in Kashyyyk alongside Yoda, and he would die in Order 66 there. And they showed off the storyboards for it, and as we'll see later on, they have it, and they also retcon it, and then they don't. They flip-flop back and forth. So yeah,
Impossible. They would never
impossible.
do-
Star Wars changing canon multiple times.
Time goes from the dead.
Sorry.
Yeah, completely.
Well, yeah. So I think, yeah, but there isn't. It seemed like at one point when I was reading it, they were insinuating that clearly he succumbed to the order or whatever. But here recently, they have tried a really big push to make you think a lot more Jedi survived than should have.
Which
It's
is
really-
kind of like it takes away. I feel too.
It does. It bothers me because
Yeah.
every story afterwards is just horrible. Because if there's, I mean, we're up to like 24 pretty high end Jedis who survived, and what are you
And
living
even
in a
then,
cave?
if they all do survive, if they die like shortly thereafter, it's not too bad to away. But then again, it's them lingering for so long.
Yeah. It just makes the Order 66 more
Yeah.
of a failure.
Yeah.
And to me, like, I would love to see some of these guys live, obviously, but like,
Which is also
we're
why
supposed to believe that 25 years afterwards, people don't even think the Jedi ever existed. Like, they're myths. And if you still had a few dozen, and some of these people who supposedly lived are pretty high-end Jedis. They weren't all just like little kids. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could hide, but at the same time, what are you hiding from? Honestly, like after 20 years, what are you still hiding from? Are you hiding from Vader? Like that's what you're hiding from? Not that Vader's not a badass, but if you're like Quinlan Vos, are you still hiding in like a jungle somewhere and don't let anybody know that you're a Jedi? You're watching people die, you're watching people suffer, and because you don't want to be dead either, you don't try to contact other Jedis, and you're just a short order cook at some space bar in some way off planet and just ignoring
Dex's diner, hoping.
Yeah, just ignoring some poor lady being assaulted over here, some kid getting beat, and you're just focusing on getting to the house, having a beer, and watching TV.
It's like the robot chicken with the Yarl poof. He's working with the Death Star with the mustache. Just trying to... Oh my!
So yeah, I don't like it'd be cool, but if that's gonna be the case, then tell me something. Tell me like three of these guys that you want to live. What they did was they found each other. They saw it happening. The Force spoke to them, as corny as it sounds, and they went off to the uncharted world lands to find more about the Force. And they've been gone for 40 years. If you want to do that, okay, whatever. But even that, because then you're going to have to run into the Skywalker was out searching too, and he never ran into him. So you have some other issues that happen to that.
Yeah. Nevertheless,
like some hippie commune in the forest on some remote outer rim planet.
Yeah, just full of old Jedi.
Based on the Clone Wars version of him, he would be the one leading.
I was about to say, yeah. And according to that one, you'll walk up, like Skywalker walks up and he hears, "Bro, man, we've been waiting on you so long, bro.
We're supposed to be starting the Jedi Order again to fight the Empire." It's like, that's just your opinion, man.
In every
that's
apocalypse
just like your opinion, bro.
Every apocalypse movie, they always like listen for that frequency on the radio, and they try and contact that hidden, sanctuary somewhere.
All right, so I think that's it for like the stuff I have. Do you want to go into the other stuff now?
Yeah, the very detailed stuff. Because like we'll go over his Legends appearances and like briefly enough. Like there is he basically is the Star Wars comics that came out in Dark Horse in the 90s, like the late 90s into the 2000s, were basically his series. Like he starred in it, and he was the one that was most of the story arcs. And then they would every other story arc they change it to follow a different Jedi, but it ultimately would come back to him continuously, and he'd be the one with other Jedi guest starring in those issues to kind of
forget.
Pump it up.
He was a random background that they don't even know where he came from. It was just some guy walking by, and they're like, "Dude, put this wig on," and then put this shirt on and go sit over there. And I was like, "That's all it took."
Yeah.
Just think of all the untold tales that he had, though. I mean, obviously, it was a full 80 issues.
I don't even know how to do it like this anymore.
Okay, so you don't remember anymore?
I got it.
Okay, so let's just start from here. Basically, we're back to the old ways for this week, which is fun. So
hold on, before you do that though, why do we have to do it the old ways for this week?
We're nostalgic for the old ways.
You were nostalgic, okay.
You're very nostalgic. No. So, well, you always talk about doing the slideshows, and I guess you failed this week, right? You always say so no, yeah, so that's
oh wow, you did call me out. I didn't even realize what you were saying. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I'll take the heat for that. I messed up the slideshow this week. Sorry guys. I'll get it. I'll do better next week.
So yeah, so this is the list of just the canon appearances in comics and TV. As you'll see, he shows up in one canon issue for literally the panel. And obviously the film, that iconic film right there with the iconic scene he's in, is in his first appearance. And then he shows up in 2 episodes of Clone Wars. The one we saw, the clip one, was from The Hunt for Zero, which is basically the episode he's in the entirety of. And then Destiny, he's just part of a vision sequence Yoda has, and he's there among the Jedi.
If you saw the other one of the other bounty hunter shows we did, there was a lot of him and Kenobi in that one. Like he was in that one.
The Cad Bane one, yeah.
Yeah, the Cad Bane one.
And they fought Cad Bane. And then you have the cover there, Dark Disciple. So
I need to find the
a clearer image, like more high def image. If you want to see the art,
I need to find the like the hardcover one of that one.
that's cool. So this list obviously is hard to look at. Now, essentially, I'm just going to briefly say this. He appears in. Oh, you can zoom in. That's perfect. Okay. So his first appearance, issue 17, and then after that, first cover is in 19. Everything else is all just the story arcs he's in. He's in a total of, let me double check, 4, 8.
Jesus, that's a lot of comics, bro.
He's in a lot. Like literally, like I said, he is the star of that series. It was Star Wars, the 98 run, and then it transitioned to Republic. And it's just a bunch of one-shots.
It's the only cover I have is 20.
20, yeah, which is pretty early on, the first arc.
Yep.
And then on top of that, yes, he goes all the way through. He appears in the Attack of the Clones comic, which he doesn't appear in the movie, which is funny. And he appears in Revenge of the Sith comic, which shows the Legend's death before it was retconned. So yeah, just a bajillion comics. Obviously, won't talk about all of them. So
Hold on, wait me 1 second.
He just doesn't show up for the other films.
yeah, he's just too cool. He's too cool. It's just his opinion.
He's just out hiding. Oh, I didn't know you guys were there.
Yeah. So
Wait a minute.
Fun. They had. I was curious what action figures there were of him because he's the comics, right?
Oh, neat.
And
He's
the
one
only
with
one-
Billy.
Yeah, the only ones he actually appears in are these two, which contain a comic each. There's the one on the left, which just contains issue 19, which is his first cover appearance, and it has him and the other character in it.
Billy.
Yeah, and then the second one on the right is a later issue, and it contains him and a different outfit, along with a scout trooper. And that one is near the Order 66 arc, basically.
Zoom in on that.
I kind of need this in my life.
It's pretty cool.
It's the camo one, isn't it?
Yeah, the one on the right has the camo scout trooper from Kashyyyk and him in his Kashyyyk outfit.
Vilma.
Okay, well then buy that, Kachung, and you can keep this guy, and I'll take that one.
Who keeps the comic?
I love Scout
He
Trooper.
can have it.
Is it pretty cool? Yeah, those are the two action. I thought he would have one that was just like by himself, or there's no Black series of him yet, just these two. So that'd be a fun character to put in there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, first appearance. So he shows up, basically sneaks on the Coruscant. Mace Windu asks about his apprentice, and he says she's waiting for him somewhere else. Basically, offhanding Aayla Secura. That's Lumpy Windu. Don't
Something wrong here.
It's funny because like most mainstream like people that watch, Star Wars movies, they don't know about this guy. So this is kind of like the most expensive comic that no one knows about.
Most expensive.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It's pretty expensive too.
Is it? I didn't actually look at the price. I was too scared.
It's pricey, man.
Is
It's
it
a little
that bad?
pricey. I just looked it up. I just saw even a raw one is like 140 right now.
What? Well, what's funny is in this series there is an issue coming up we'll talk about next, which is also the first appearance of his Padawan, which we'll see in a second, who he was alluding to this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can get a 9.2 CGC graded 175.
That's insane.
It's a little bit insane. Yeah.
Well,
Sorry.
That's back issue.
that one right there. Yeah. So we find out his apprentice is Aayla Secura, and at the time, so at the top left one there is the first cover appearance, and funny enough, this was the first time you actually see Aayla Secura. Her first appearance is in the comics. She was created by the writer here as a comics character, and then
Well, we all know how Georgie likes
Georgie likes his Twi'lek, so he put her in the movies before, obviously. So yeah, that's his first story arc featuring him.
I need this cover. This is a badass cover.
Now,
Like both of these covers are badass.
There's a lot of really cool covers.
That's a badass cover.
The hard part was I didn't want to really I was trying my best to just show off like the arcs like that. I wanted to include individual because the covers are so cool, but it's just too much.
Yeah.
So that's the moment. So basically, the story arc is Aayla Secura had lost her mind. It was like memory wiped amnesia because he had it as well. He regains his memory, so he tries to find her again. He finds her basically pretty awkwardly enslaved by like her uncle and treated as like a dancer. And he goes to her, reminds her who she is, brings her lightsaber, which is red, because this was before they completely locked down the idea that it had to not be red. And then she doesn't really remember who she is still. And he turns on the uncle, and the uncle dies. And then Aayla Secura goes nuts and runs away. And kind of, she's not yet herself. She's still kind of tiptoeing around like insanity.
Yeah. Quite a few story arcs too.
That is like the one thing about Star Wars. I know some of it is lazy writing, but it gets you wondering. If we're just going on topic, and if there's any kids watching, this is the time to go ahead and plug those ears. They must be absolute dynamites in the sack, because like no matter what happens to these poor people, they're like immediately put back in servitude. If you understand what I'm saying, like it doesn't seem to matter.
And by her uncle, no doubt.
Yeah, uncles, the big slug Jabba who can what? How can he possibly do anything? Like all of them just immediately turn them into that. It's like, what in the world?
And this is probably why Lucas, he probably read this issue specifically and was like, oh, she's a Jedi? I can put her in the movie?
It's just so weird how they do that to them. It's like even species who would clearly not find them attractive, like, oh, let's make them into dancers, quotation marks. I'm like, wow.
Not even the species aren't even anthropomorphic.
Oh yeah, these have always been cool covers. Yeah, I remember seeing
this is the arc where we follow her after and with him trying to track her down, and he's
a fun one.
And he's basically helps her regain herself. And the covers are really cool. We talked about that artist before with Plo Koon. These covers are just awesome.
And who's the sniper? We talked about
Aura Singh, the guy did the covers.
Yeah, I would say Aura Singh's the one that I remember the most from this.
Yeah, Aura Singh, and then Plo Koon had one in this now.
I think this was the first arc I read of this series.
That's cool.
And it's a good one. It introduces more about Vilmar. He's in it a little bit.
Yeah, the horn.
Actually, he's in it quite a lot.
Deveronian. Basically,
unfortunately, he talks a little bit like Dobby from Harry Potter.
That's the red in the bottom left page or issue. That's the red character there, the Deveronian.
And there's like this species. What are they called? I can't remember what they're called, but they kind of like have these mind-penetrating filaments that come out of their face. And it almost reminds me a little bit of what's going on in High Republic with those plants. They kind of wrap people up.
But obviously, we'd like that. There's a lot of these.
Son of a bitch.
We'd like to talk more about these story arcs. There's a lot to them, and a lot of them are really good. But it's just there's so much. He literally appears in a lot of comics. Now this one, it's just a 3-issue. This is the last. These are the last issues before it transitions to the Republic series.
Yeah. And I will always say that I am not an artist, but if you were the artist that got assigned to this book and you've seen the covers that haven't been coming out, and this is what you come up with, I'm just saying, like,
pretty boring. Now, I would say next to that, the cover in the middle, I adore. That is gorgeous.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. But
you look at the left one, then you go to the right one, and it's like, oh.
And then apparently he decided he didn't want that gang life anymore, so then he had his tattoo lasered off because this is.
Well, all you need to do is just put the lightsaber up to your face and just kind of like a close shave, right?
In the right light, it just disappears.
It just disappears, man.
But he had Secura back by now.
Yeah, so she's returned, and now this is leading also directly into. So this leads directly into Attack of the Clones, and then it transitions to the Republic series, which is why you see her now in her what you normally see her in her outfit, and she has the blue lightsaber now.
Right, because she's a Jedi Knight.
Yeah, now she went to a Padawan to a knight, so she's no longer his apprentice.
And he becomes a master.
Yes. Yeah, so this is basically a transition point into the series for him. And then this is the issue. He appears in Attack of the Clones. A blink if you'll miss it too. I think if you can zoom in slightly on the right.
Oh yeah, right there. Only thing I'm disappointed about that is not over the shoulder. It's over the wrist. Not quite as good.
You know,
Brown.
he's too good for over the shoulder. I think he's just,
Oh, he's too high end. Yeah, that makes sense. That
yeah,
makes sense.
he's a master. He doesn't want to put himself. And then so he appears in all these the Star Wars Jedi. He appears in every single one of those.
Oh,
issues.
look, the lighting is back right again. Okay, good.
Yeah. So he appears in all those issues of Star Wars Jedi, and because they're part of this one big story arc. But this one specifically shows a flashback to when he first gets her as a Padawan, and yeah,
We brought this up before. This book.
we did. This is the book where Aayla Secura fights Aurra Sing.
That's right.
Yeah, because this basically leads into like Aayla Secura is trying to find him again. He's basically run off, and we'll see why he's why he's not really talking to them right now. We'll find out.
That's like a $50 book too, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
They're all stupid, and I really need all you people who aren't Star Wars fans just to knock it off. Just go.
Like why are you buying these issues for what value? Okay, this one. So this one is the big one. This is the issue where he goes to do the weirdest triple undercover job you've ever heard in your life, where he basically he wants to go in there to become Dooku's apprentice and then lie to Dooku that he was undercover, but then he goes, no, I'm actually lying to you to be undercover, to be actually under your apprentice, to trick out. And it's like layers upon layers upon layers. And then Dooku just kind of like, he realizes, okay, let me send you on a mission or two. And I'm realizing you're just really stupid. Like you're a spy, 100%. And just tries to kill him. But we see here is when he joins up with Dooku in this issue.
I just want to point out that
which is some pretty cool art, I find, this issue.
Yeah, this is not bad art right here.
In that Darkness series, the Darkness run,
the first
he uses Force lightning.
He does, and
which they say is kind of just linked to the dark side, right? And this is before this happens.
And which is funny because Force, like they make a distinction that there's Force lightning and Force judgment. And
but I said it's Force judgment, son. Come on now, got to keep.
But the thing is, though, the judgment's orange, the lightning's blue.
Unless they want to explain it in the Star Wars way, and they say, well, it can be orange, but sometimes it can also be blue.
Sometimes if his favorite color is blue, he might come out. Yeah, right there. He's showing it off anything.
Blue.
Can I also ask a question? If you are the head of a spy ring, having this hair and that, let's just talk about the tattoo. Does that not give it away? Like,
that's just so funny.
I don't know. Okay.
Is Dooku really that tall, or is he just?
He was standing on a stair.
He's got the high ground.
You got the high ground, man.
And I love that last part. This is when they so we accepts him as his apprentice for the time being, and then the bottom panel of them walking off together like chums. So I
noticed there are so many close-ups of his eyes.
Oh yeah. So it's funny. So after that, he does appear in a couple of different arcs between there, and a lot of them are involving Dooku. But this one is he's come back to the Jedi at this point, or he's coming back. He has the red lightsaber still from Dooku, but now he's talked to the Jedi again. He's like, "Listen, I've been doing a weird triple undercover job, and I know you guys want me to go undercover, but I'm going triple cover now." I decided. So he meets up with Kenobi, and this is when Kenobi is chasing after Ventress, and this is the first time that he interacts with Ventress, and his relationship with her is a much different place here than it is in the canon.
That's not the story where he's on the speeder bike, right? And he's
no, he's not.
Okay.
This is before it, because this is the story where she presumably dies, and then Kenobi goes nuts after that, believing she isn't. So it's her fighting them, and then and she has her own like Sith acolyte with her too, who she sends to dispatch Quinlan while Kenobi fights her.
What are these Sith going to understand? You're not going to get Kenobi. It's just not going to happen.
He's too good. And now this one's interesting. I included this one specifically because he just shows up in this one page. It's some other master doing Order 66 thing, but it specifically says, Master Kiadamandi went to Megiddo to them. Where are you off to, Ayla? She says she's going to Felucia. I'm taking the troops to Boz Pity for refit before we move to Kashyyyk. So that's the last time Ayla and Quinlan see each other before they split off, and then Order 66 happens.
And he apparently also has the ability to de-age because he looks about 16 right there.
He shed some skin. He has some other tricks. And then this is the Order 66 arc. So this is on Kashyyyk. And which, funny enough, I didn't even realize Luminara was also on Kashyyyk with Yoda, apparently.
Now
that was in the storyboards as well for Revenge of the Sith.
What issues are these? What numbers?
Sorry? These are issues 81, 82, and 83.
Right.
And this is the end of the Republic run as well. The 83 is the last issue.
Now that Kachung has said it, I can't take my eyes off the fact that he just is always staring deeply into my soul, and then he has no shirt on here. So.
Oh, yeah.
He's trying
now
to
you know why I had such trouble finding the thumbnail image.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. I didn't even take that. Now this is
I narrowed it down to like 9.
Look, like no matter what angle, he's still doing it. Look, it's creepy. Look, and even here they made his head turn, so he's still getting right in your soul. Look at that. Look,
always looking at the camera, man.
That's
look,
funny.
even here, his heads are down. But I feel like
if you look any better in that one, then we probably would look at the camera. But this is, I like this page here where it's just the three of them walking, and Yoda's just like a pimp holding the cane, walking out.
Oh, he's got the pink cup. He's ready to go.
So it's them all figuring out what to do and ready for the battle. And then, so this is the moment of Order 66 in this issue at least. And what they do is Luminara just kind of like.
Wait a minute, is that a lightsaber? Oh no, those are guns. Okay, it looked like a lightsaber the way they was holding it.
She just vaporizes.
Yeah, so she just like is completely. Literally in a circle, like they all stand around her in a circle, and she doesn't even question it for a moment. Just gets shot. And Quinlan takes. Okay, so this is the funniest thing is because how they have to retcon his original death, which we'll see in a minute. He's basically standing on the top, like literally just on top of the ATTE with the ATTE with the cannon. He's standing in front of the cannon, maybe like 10 feet in front of the cannon. And it's up like this. He's standing here. It's up like this, and then it goes. He's just like, I sense something strange in the Force. I don't know, but I don't see any droids. And then it lowers down and it just shoots him immediately. And he gets blasted, point blank, insane. And he lives.
It's like the cartoon where they put the big cannon right behind Bugs Bunny's back of his head, and they just pull the trigger.
Right, or who was it that got the destroyer's engine in the face? The engine started up on the Star Destroyer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he survived.
So yeah, that's right after he's like his whole skin is burned off.
Wait a minute, so this is like Bullseye then, because he totally survived the cannon to the back.
Yeah, he survived it. He gets launched off into the jungle, and he was like in the water, and his whole body is like burnt up, cut and scarred. And he's being chased by the scout troopers now.
He's like,
okay, hold on. Let's just go through our checklist. My soul, deep into my soul.
That one's a scary looking.
He's a little off center. They blew that one. Yep. It's a little off center.
That was the one you used. That was one of the ones you tried using, right?
Yeah, it was, but the speech bubble was in the way. It's a grimace.
That's funny. So one thing didn't talk about the whole time. It's almost slipping my mind because it was in so many arcs. He obviously in this he's not in a relationship with Ventress. That was for Canon Maid. In this, it was some other kind of bounty hunter lady, and he had on and off again because he was undercover and then not and such and such. Eventually, what's revealed is that she got pregnant, and this is like now he's been doing this for months, like almost like months or weeks.
He's doing this like he's banging that chick, and that's how you got it.
No, he's in the. He's in the jungle of Kashyyyk. I think it's weeks.
Cannon babies.
and canon baby.
I was like, yeah, that's usually how it works there. You gotta do it for a few months to get it to work. I mean, sometimes it's one night stand, but a lot of times it's work. It's work.
So basically, he's running around in this jungle for weeks, and so his friend, the Deveronian friend, and basically tracks him down and basically makes it look like he kills him. Like he kills him in front of the clones, and the clones kind of just accept it and walk off. Really strange. And then it's revealed that he lives, and we'll see in the next panel.
Hey, you stop!
He lives. He surprises his love of his life, and then
wait a minute.
No,
he didn't accept them. Look at that. Boo. No.
So
that's a temporary tattoo.
So yeah,
that's not his baby. That's not his baby.
It's a wash off. Don't rub it too hard. So so he shows up and reunites with them, and then finds his kid, and he says basically his name. He names him there, etc. May the force be with you, etc. And that's all right? Kid. We never see the kid ever again.
Can I ask a question though? If you are so afraid of Order 66 that you're hiding out, we just discussed this. Should you then put the same orange tattoo, or I guess in this case, body paint, on your son's face? So now two of you look like that Jedi guy that they haven't been able to figure out if he's actually dead yet or not.
Well, the one thing to say is, what point does he tattoo it on him?
Right afterwards. It's like you do the brisk, thing, and then you tattoo the face.
That's just the stencil he's putting on, so he can tattoo over.
I got something for you, son.
Yeah. So now this is the Revenge of the Sith adaptation, and in this one, they actually see his death because they had the storyboards for it. So Luminara, we see her up there, surrounded by the clones again, and they just shoot her. So basically, okay, now this is what's funny. In the last one, it's literally the cannon like this, and it lowers and hits them. This one, it's showing us shooting from like next door.
I like the Bugs Bunny version better. I like the one where they just put the cannon right to his back.
But yeah, so after that, that's all he shows up in the Legends such, and then in canon, this is the only appearance he has. It's in the Darth Vader 25
over the shoulder.
Now here we go, last issue of the second run. Over the shoulder cameo in the Vision.
Nice.
And there you go.
I do have that.
Yeah, the one that's not like $1,000 like the other ones, right?
Yeah, the actual one that's canon is not worth anything. That is going to show you that it's not really about like loving it. It's about, well, I gotta make sure I cover all my bases in case it becomes famous.
Oh, that's so funny. But otherwise, yeah, that's the character. Very interesting character. A lot of appearances. So honestly, if you just read through that series, you'll hit everything of the character. Everything about the character you go read.
Well, all right. Well, that's the Jedi spy Quinlan Vos. Pretty cool character. Next week we're gonna do things slightly different. Same thing. You won't notice it as the viewer, but we will kind of break this into two. So that way, if you want to watch the spotlight, it'll be like, usually like 30 minutes or so. Even this one on 48. Yeah. And if you want to watch, we'll do a Star Wars news kind of thing. So like every week we'll have news and comics coming out, and that'll be a separate video for that. And that'd be pretty cool. And then also next week, I decided not to because I don't really feel like doing it tonight because I'm lazy. But starting next week, also on my Twitch will be Thursday night Star Wars night, and we'll be playing Knights of the Old Republic, the greatest game to ever be made in the history of all worlds. And so I'll be playing a different video game. So after you watch this, you can always jump over to Twitch and watch me play some Star Wars games. I announced this, and the amount of people are like, "Don't forget about that game. Don't forget about this game." I'm like, okay, slow down. First off, it's gonna take a while to play all those games.
Now, what doing Kodar? What are you gonna try and do your run as first? Are you gonna focus on the lightsaber, of course? Or are you gonna try and go other stuff?
No, I mean I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. When I played it when I was a kid, I was like only picking good.
Is this the first time you played? How long ago since you played it last?
Oh, when it first came out. I mean, really? I played like 3 times in a row when it first came out.
Wow, this is gonna be interesting then. So do you remember like a lot of details?
No, I put it in probably like a year ago. I actually got before they started making it available everywhere. I actually bought a copy at like a used game store, and I put it in just to prove that it was still as awesome as ever. Because a friend of mine was like, "When you play it, it's gonna suck," and I literally recognized the characters, and I recognized like waking up and all that. But after that, it was. I think a lot of it is going to be not remembered. A lot of the
which would be
specific.
fun.
Yeah,
there's gonna be a moment. I'm gonna watch these. I'm gonna love to watch you play. It's gonna be so much fun. There's gonna be one moment where I remember as a kid, I couldn't play the game for months because I was too stupid to realize what to do with the underground part.
I just know that every time I've ever played any games like this where you have to decide if you're a good or a bad guy, I've always gone full on good and never made any decisions that was bad.
You never told the homeless guy, "Screw you! I'm not giving you 5 credits."
No, and I'm the one that always gives them credits, knowing that eventually, like I think what was that Mass Effect? If you kept doing it, they actually use that against you. Like the reporter was like, "Oh, we heard that you," and the guy like turns on you and says all these crazy things about you. I'm that guy that knows it's coming.
He spent those credits on a gun to rob some store, right?
Yeah, but I was playing State of Decay on Twitch, and same thing. I'm doing all the right things. I'm in like every single group come in. I'm giving them stuff. There are people in the comment section like, don't give everybody all your stuff. Like some of these people aren't always good. My people are getting mad. Can't help everybody. I'm like, relax. We're all friends here. I had never played State of Decay, so people in the comment section were dying laughing. They're like, I can't wait to see him freak out. I'm like, what's happening? Well, in that storyline, basically everybody in the city that you've been helping turns on you because they want what you got. Even though I've been giving it away like Christmas, they turn on you. So there's a clip where masters always play with. I said, what did I say is going to happen? What I got to say was going to happen? They broke me, and now I'm turning the other way. And we had defeated. There's three people in the house. We had defeated 2 of them. And the one girl was literally on her knees going, okay, listen, just stop. And I'm like yelling at her like she's real. No, I told you that once you turn on me, they going to be no prisoners. Are you ready? Are you watching? Are you watching? I want everybody to watch this. And I assassinate her. And I'm like, that's what happens when you turn on me. And Baxter goes like, wow. And we get in the car, we're driving away. After a few seconds, I was like, I kind of feel like that guy a little too real. I just kind of want to calm down for a minute because I was like, I'm yelling at people in this imaginary world like they can hear me. Like, all you people on the north side of the city, I want you to hear what's about to happen because she's begging for her life and it ain't happening. I'm assassinating her right now. And I'm like, and I killed her. And I was like, we're driving away. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm like, I think that's super personal. I'm like,
you're role playing pretty hard.
yeah. I was like, this is a little too much, I think.
No, that's funny.
But all right, so we'll see you guys next week. Do we have any idea who we're doing next week?
Yeah, it's someone else you mentioned this episode. The first thing you talked about.
Are you gonna announce it, or are you just gonna keep teasing me?
I gotta keep teasing. It's Solid Adventures.
There you go.
So yeah, the next easy direct connection right there, and a character we can talk about with a lot more canon storytelling.
Sweet.
Ventures is pretty awesome. They we'll talk about it next week, but the only thing I would complain about her is what I complained about a lot of the characters they did. They made them awesome, but then they were probably they're taking away, like you're going to take away from the people. So they'd make them awesome, and then they'd make them bumbling idiots, and they'd make them awesome, and then they make them bumbling idiots. Like Ventress could whip any Jedi's ass until at one point where she couldn't seem to fight anybody. So it's like, it's the same thing as like the General Grievous complaint that I have in a lot of the
other ones. Cad Bane.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys. Thanks for joining. I do have a Discord, but apparently not even my friends here even care that I have a Discord. So I'm not even going to bother putting it in the chat or anything. So you guys have a great night.
Cheers.